Good morning, everybody. It's about 8:38. A little bit of a delay this morning, but nothing major. I'd like to welcome you to this July the 18th meeting of the LaGrange Board of Adjustments. I think we all have one thing on the docket this morning for LG 22-002, it appears. First off, I'd like to make sure everybody has their cell phones muted, turned down. And then anybody that's going to be speaking, doing presentations today needs to be sworn in. And Christy, can you do that?
Yes. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I did.
Oh, I forgot to speaker. I forgot to turn speaker.
That's okay. Thank you, ma'am.
You want somebody to read the docket?
I'll go ahead and read the document.
On the docket this morning is LG 22-002. It's an application that's been filed by 114 LLC for approval of a conditional use permit for indoor climate-controlled mini storage on approximately 1.9 acres. The property is located at 1440 Crystal Drive East in LaGrange, and the zoning is C4 Highway Service District.
All right, good morning. As Mr. Urban stated, this is a request for a conditional use permit for an indoor climate-controlled mini storage facility. A little bit of site history. On June 28, 2022, the Oldham County Planning Commission approved a development plan for indoor climate-controlled mini storage with waivers of sections 280.080, which is off-street parking and loading requirements, and section 26400, which is conditional use standards, the minimum lot size of 3 acres. And that approval was pending the approval of the conditional use permit by the LaGrange Board of Adjustments. The reason that the Planning Commission could not review and either approve or deny the conditional use permit is because KRS 100-203-6B basically, in summary, says that the Planning Commission can only review and either approve or deny a conditional use permit if it is part of a zoning change request. Otherwise, that conditional use permit has to be approved by the Board of Adjustments, approved or denied by the Board of Adjustments. So the Planning Commission went through the process and did all of the variances and waivers, but the conditional use permit has to come to the local Board of Adjustments. So that's why it's here today, and again, their approval is pending the approval of the Board of Adjustments if you so see fit. This is an aerial view of the property. You'll see here highlighted in red. This is 1440 Crystal Drive East. This is Cracker Barrel. These are the 2 hotels that are located behind it. The property is zoned C4 commercial. Again, the applicant is proposing a indoor self-storage facility, which requires a conditional use permit. There are 3 standards that are set out in the conditional use standards for self-storage facility. One is storage only, so the mini warehouses shall be limited to storage use only. No other commercial, wholesale, or industrial use shall be permitted. Plumbing is prohibited. Plumbing shall not be extended to individual storage spaces, and plumbing fixtures such as sinks, toilets, and the like shall not be installed. So that keeps people from using them as an office or even as to be able to live there. The other item is item number 3, which is minimum lot size of 3 acres. So the Planning Commission did approve a waiver of that minimum lot size of 3 acres. The site is 1.9 acres, and they received that variance of 1.1 acres. This is the site plan that was submitted by the applicant. Here, you'll see it outlined in red. Here is the storage facility. It's just one building, so it's not where you would see a typical storage facility that would be multiple buildings, one level. This is a 3-story facility. It's climate controlled. The building is approximately 79 by 263 feet. Again, it is 3-story climate controlled building. The total footprint of the building is 20,777 square feet, and the overall square footage would be 62,331 square feet, which includes a 750 square foot office area. And the proposal is for approximately 400 storage units that will be all indoor, again, climate controlled. So here is the building here outlined in purple. You'll see the office building here, or the office portion here. A parking waiver for 24 parking spaces was granted by the commission as well. The current regulation requires 43 spaces. That is 1 space per 10 storage units plus 1 space per employee. And the applicant is proposing 19. So you'll see they have 8 spaces here, 11 spaces here along the rear. They do also have a proposed detention basin that will be reviewed during construction plan. And then they also have a landscape, the required landscape buffer area for the vehicle use area. The proposed building elevations were also provided by the applicant of their project currently under construction in the Louisville area to show the aesthetics of the building. So again, this is another project that they are doing in Louisville Metro. So this is just some views into the property if you're not familiar with it. So this is on East Crystal Drive. This is looking into the site. So this will be the approximate locations of the building. So here are your 2 hotels here, and then Cracker Barrel is over here to your right. This is the west view. So this is going down Crystal Drive East. Here's Highway 53 down here at the traffic light. This is the east view going back towards Washington Manor. This is the north view, which is across the street. There are commercial lots along through this area, and you can see this cemetery that's located behind those commercial lots. This is looking from the first hotel here from the drive. So Cracker Barrel's over here, just looking with the south view from the west property line looking out. This is again looking into the property. This would be the shared rear property line. So again, the hotels are located over here to your far right. This is the west view. When you exit the property or exit the drive here, they'll have their own entrance off of East Crystal, but this is the drive that goes back to the hotel. So you can see the Cracker Barrel to your left. This is the northeast view. So this is looking from the other entrance to the hotel that's on the other side, looking into the property. So you're looking at building into this area here. This is the corner, the property corner. So it'll be in this area. This is looking from that same stake. This is the entrance drive to the hotel, lined with trees. This is the Quality Inn and Suites. This is standing at the property corner there, and this is the view from the rear at the Super 8. So in summary, they are requesting approval of a conditional use permit, again, for indoor climate-controlled mini storage on approximately 1.9 acres for property located at 1440 Crystal Drive East. It is Zone C4. The proposed conditions of approval would be the conditional use permit approval shall only apply to the plan reviewed at the July 18th, 2022 LaGrange Board of Adjustments public hearing. This was a condition that the Planning Commission put on the approval. It says there shall be no large semi, tractor trailer vehicles allowed on site for delivery or for delivery or pickup of stored items. So they will not have semi-traffic allowed on the site. And 3, the exterior building materials shall be those presented by the applicant at the public hearing. And that is all that I have.
Fantastic. Thank you, ma'am. Any questions? No? I'd like to ask the applicant to come forward, state your name and address, sir. And
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Cliff Ashburner. I'm with the law firm of Dinsmore and Scholl. Mr. Chairman, we've spoken on the phone a few times, I think. I'm here today on behalf of 114 LLC. I also have Mike Hill with Land Design and Development, who's here. Mike's firm is the firm that drew the plan that we're going to be talking about today. As Amy covered, the Planning Commission has already seen the proposed development plan and approved it, as well as approving the parking waiver. So today what is before you is the conditional use permit. We would ask that even though the Planning Commission acted on the deviation from the conditional use permit standards, the 3-acre minimum lot size, that you all act on that as well as part of your motion. I think that would be appropriate and actually would give us some security if you would act on that as part of your motion. So I don't want to be redundant, so I'm going to run through our slide deck relatively quickly. As Amy mentioned, you got I-71 here, the 2 hotels, Cracker Barrel, and this site on East Crystal Drive. The presence of Wilson Court here, which is the access to quality suites, is really what caused the deviation from 3 acres to 1.9 acres, because in the absence of that easement or that access, or if the access was somehow reconfigured to go around the property, we'd probably be able to get to the 3 acre minimum. But because it's there and it currently serves as access, obviously we can't build across it. And so our client is purchasing this portion here. So this is just a larger view of what's in the area. I know you all are very familiar with this area. It is a lot of kind of quick service uses, highway service uses, if you will, things that cater both to people in the community and people driving through the community. And, you know, this site has yet to develop. And so we think that this will actually be a good complementary use within the area, and I think it's a good complementary use for a couple of reasons. The primary reason is, as you have a lot of these quick service uses, you generate a lot of traffic. So there's a high volume of cars that are constantly moving on East Crystal, West Crystal, up and down what's First Street in this area off the highway. This use, once it's full, generates almost no traffic on a daily basis. Very, very low volume of traffic. And the building that we'll get to in just a moment is very complementary of the hotel buildings that are near it. It appears, for all intents and purposes, as an office building. So this is the proposed development plan. As was mentioned, the Planning Commission did grant a parking waiver. In fact, I think our client would probably be okay with even fewer spaces than are shown. That's what their research has supported. As I said before, once these units are full, the volume of visitors at a given time is very low. And so 19 parking spaces is going to be more than enough parking on the subject property. Again, this is just a closer view of the proposed development plan. You can see you've got the access area here that goes around the building. One thing to note, this area is not depressed and there are not raised loading docks. So the concern about having semi-traffic, large truck traffic, first off, the site really does not lend itself to that based on the configuration of the driveways. There's just not a large enough turnaround there. But secondly, the building is not designed to handle large trucks. It's designed for smaller units, and the person who, you know, their target customer is the person who's filling up the back of the SUV, filling up the back of the pickup truck or something like that, and bringing items into the facility. This was just the letter we got from Jim Silliman, and this is the proposed rendering of the building. One thing I'll note here, so this is the office area. This is all kind of retail storefront glass. The same thing goes for all these windows. And then the rest of the building is masonry. I think there might be a little bit of ephes as an accent material, but as you can see, it looks very kind of office in appearance. There is that public-facing portion that's at the corner closest to the street. That's where the leasing office is. So the other thing to note is just sort of your lifespan as a customer here. You're going to come the first day probably without anything, meet with somebody in the office there, choose your storage unit, and then come back at a future time, go around the back of the building, which is where the garage doors lift up. You go inside, there are elevators inside that'll take you floors 1, 2, 3. to your unit. There are carts that you can use to move your things in and out. The other thing to note, like a lot of storage uses, this question comes up a lot, although I think the answer is almost always the same. Hazardous materials are not allowed here. Dangerous materials are not allowed here. Certainly the developer of this building does not want anything in the building that's going to cause a problem for them or any other user. And so they've got a pretty strict list of what can be stored here. So with that, I'm happy to take questions, Mike, if there's anything you want to add. If not, we would ask that you approve the conditional use permit, including the deviation from your CUP standard from the 3 acres to the 1.9 acres.
You also want to just affirm the parking waiver at the same time?
No, I think the parking waiver
But-
the parking waiver, I think, is very clearly in the Planning Commission's wheelhouse. This one, the only reason I ask is because although the Planning Commission did approve it, it is a standard that's listed in the CUP requirements, and so that's why I asked about that.
All righty. Thank you, Cliff. Mike or Mr. Bullock, y'all have any questions for the applicant? All righty. I do have I'm talking from the fire side part of it and looking at the rendition. So on each end of the building, it looks like, or on the this end of it, I can see a man door there, and then the office doors on this corner. Is there man doors down on the other end as well? I'm not assuming on the back of it, the roll-up doors.
You know if we have that on the plan?
I was just curious if it had just that.
Yeah. No, do you know if there's a door? I'm afraid I don't have that information for you. I'm certain that whatever the building code requires, and if there is a man door requirement at the other end of the building, that'll be provided.
All right. So then it's my understanding that the people, as you say, come around the back to the loading and unloading area, and there are garage doors there. So vehicles can enter into the building? No?
No. They cannot enter into the building. They're larger doors. They might actually swing as well, but they're larger doors designed essentially to provide freedom of movement into the building for people with maybe a push cart or something like that.
Gotcha.
And then there are elevators, like I said, that'll take you up to the various floors so you can go down the hallway and get to your unit.
All right. One last question. Is this building sprinkled?
I think it is. I feel pretty confident that it is, yeah.
Seems to me there was a question, and the answer is no.
Okay.
And you just, it is, but you need to affirm that, not me.
Well, I think the best answer I can give you is whatever the fire code requires is what they're going to do.
Okay. All right. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right. No further questions. Is there anybody here that would like to speak in opposition? Nope. And nobody here speaking in favor. Thank you. All right. Then the next thing we go on to, again, any questions for the applicants? No further. Then we need to do a motion then to.
I can help you with that. In your staff report, actually, it starts at the bottom of page 2. This is a conditional use permit application, but on page 3 are sample motions for either approval or denial. And you really need to state something within the motion regarding, there's kind of check boxes. You can pick whatever you've heard, but essentially you also want to affirm that the applicant's information and the staff report's information is part of your decision. The other thing in a motion, and when we get to the actual motion, I'll help with, I've got language regarding the waiver that was actually approved by the Planning Commission, if you so choose. There are 3 binding elements, conditions of approval rather, sorry. Those are also on page 3. The first is the conditional use permit approval shall only apply to the plan reviewed at the July 18th, 2022 LaGrange Board of Adjustments public hearing. The second is that there shall be no large tractor-trailer vehicles allowed on site for delivery or pickup of stored items. And the third is the exterior building materials shall be those presented by the applicant at the public hearing.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jim. So I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve that request. Based on, okay.
Let me stop you right there for a second. I'm assuming you want to include that you are affirming and approving the waiver for the lot size as was approved by the Oldham County Planning Commission on June 28, 2022.
Correct. And approve it based on, it's desirable to the community, have a need for that, and specific conditions or restrictions would be that this conditional permit shall be approval only apply to this meeting on January 18th, 2022. LaGrange Board of Adjustments public hearing. Be no large tractor trailer vehicles allowed on the site. The exterior of the building materials shall be those presented by the applicant at the public hearing.
All right, so we have a motion to approve the conditional use permit and everything that Mike just mentioned. Do we have a second for this motion? Mr. Bullard seconds the motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion's been approved, and that's all we have for you, sir. We thank you very, very much. We do have to approve minutes from previous meetings. You should have a copy of that. Should be from the April 18th, 2022 meeting minutes. We can take a look at that. Anybody has questions? I actually read over mine earlier, so I don't have any questions on that. Mike, do you?
I have no questions.
Right, Mr. Bullard? All righty. There being no questions, we vote to approve the minutes of April the 18th, 2022. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed? There being no opposition, minutes are passed, and now we make motion for the meeting to be adjourned. And right, good. Thank you.